Good morning, everybody. Please take your seats now because we are going to start. The 10th meeting of the Permanent Forum on Indigenous Issues is called to order. Distinguished members of the Forum, today as part of our new method of work under item 6 of the agenda, the Forum will continue an in-depth comprehensive dialogue with the 3 remaining United Nations agencies, bodies, and funds. I call on Ferhat Mehini from the Confederation de Association Amasir du Sud Marocain. Yes, you have the floor. Is Ferhat here? Yes, okay.
Thank you. مسافة الويث ينفقاو الحرمة نمشي يعني غرفاني من زاو أزول صغور ثموثني قبيليا مقارد سين ووال نس قبيليس دي تجمع في الجناس يدوكلن اللي يسنتي بولان تودار تستيغرالانت سونسيفس إوغرفة قبيليا. Madame la Présidente, honorable représentant des peuples autochtones, le peuple kabyle vous salue. Dans sa langue,
the Kabyle people greet you in their own language to mark their arrival here at the United Nations on Tuesday, 2009. As Kabyle people, our very existence is being denied, our language is denied us, and there is an ongoing, constant struggle between us and the Algerian government since 1963. I shall not go into all of the details, but there is no 2 or 3 years without there being some peaceful uprising and then some bloody crushing of that uprising. And so there is a constant insecurity and military of our land. There is also economic sabotage. And even our crops are damaged. Sometimes military people and the police set fire to our lands. And from 2007 to 2008, over 1.5 million olive trees were burned down and destroyed. These were age-old trees that made up our economy, our well-being, and the health of our people. Vast areas of forest has been set fire to. The authorities have done nothing about it. They have not tried to put out the forest fires. Worse, even when the forest fires reach houses, the authorities from putting them out. It was only when the Kabyle people had driven out the authorities in the spring of 2001 that we were able to put out some of the forest fires. We have been made political prisoners.
I understand your situation, but I would like you to go now if you have specific questions to ask from our panel, please.
We have
endorsed all of the resolutions and decisions, including the 2007 declarations on indigenous peoples. So with support from the international community and United Nations bodies ensuring implementation for the international covenants, we would hope to bear on the Algerian authorities to ensure that the Kabyle people can exercise all of their rights, including regional autonomy throughout the Maghreb. On 20 April last, we had over 20,000 people on a march and a demonstration in support of this. Thank you, Madam.
So we'll have now Naitsid Kamira from the Caucus Amasig, and I would like you to please not make a statement but focus on points you would like to raise with our panelists. This is a dialogue, so please focus on your questions or comments on what they said. Thank you. You have the floor, Mr. Naitsid Kamira. Yes, you have the floor. A woman, sorry.
Bonjour tout le monde. Le caucus Amazir, nous avons quelques questions à poser pour les organismes des Nations Unies et pour le forum.
Good morning. The Amaziques have some questions to address to the United Nations bodies and the Permanent Forum. The first one is, how do you intend to work with indigenous NGOs on the ground in the field? How do you intend to help capacity building of indigenous peoples and NGOs? Are you going to visit our lands to see for yourselves what the true situation of indigenous people is? How can you protect the Amaziques and the Kabyles against the policy of assimilation, which is a policy pursued by governments in Northern Africa? And another question, how can ECOSOC and the Permanent Forum deal with deadlock which has developed? How can you help to promote indigenous peoples in Africa? I have so many questions here. I'm trying to identify and focus on the most relevant ones, if you'll forgive me. Thank you. My colleague will ask the questions from the Tuareg, if that is possible. So the question is, how does ECOSOC and the Permanent Forum intend to protect the rights of indigenous peoples in African countries? Most of the UN system and the United Nations do not even become involved in this area of issues, the categories of rights. Our last question is, how can ECOSOC resolve the deadlock about how to get governments involved in eliminating the Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples? NGOs in the diaspora have to be taken into account, as well as the Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples. How to promulgate.
Thank you very much. I'd like to call now on Les Malizer, who will speak on behalf of the National Native Title Council and other organizations in Australia. You have the floor, sir.